Hi guys, thanks for joining us tonight. It's good to have you with us for Surgeon Line for another week. Tonight we've got Charlotte bringing us a little word for you to have a listen to, so that'll be good. Hudson is also here in the background, so at any moment he might shout at me or turn the lights off or do any kind of thing like push the camera over like he did last week. So we hope you're doing okay. There he is. We hope you're doing okay. Please keep messaging in, let us know how you're doing. We're going to keep doing a little bit more interactive stuff like with the Instagram stories about asking how you're doing, and we might just put random questions up for a bit of fun, see how you guys are doing, because we miss having that like interaction with you guys, so it'd be good for you to reply to those if you can. So I'm going to hand over to Charlotte, so listen for her for the next few minutes and then I'll come on at the end. See you in a minute.
Hi everyone, hope you're doing all right. I want to read a little bit today from the book of Ruth and just pull out a couple of points from her story. So just to give you a little bit of background, Ruth was a woman who was married to the son of a woman called Naomi. Now Naomi had 2 sons and 2 daughters-in-law, and her husband and both her sons pass away, they die, and Naomi says to both her daughters-in-law, look, go back to your families, don't stay with me, go back, meet new husbands, start a new life. And eventually one of the women chooses to do that and one doesn't. So Orpah, she decides that she is going to go back, and Ruth decides that she isn't. And it's a pretty big deal for Ruth at the time, because Ruth was choosing to go with Naomi back to a town she'd never been to live with people she'd never met. And it was a massive, massive upheaval for her. And she says this beautiful thing, which I want to read to you now. When Naomi tries to send her away, this is how Ruth replies. She says, don't plead with me to abandon you or to return and not follow you. For wherever you go, I will go, and wherever you live, I will live. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. Wherever you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord punish me and do so severely, if anything but death separates you and me. When Naomi saw that Ruth was determined to go with her, she stopped talking to her, and the 2 of them travelled until they came to Bethlehem. Now this was an incredibly big thing, like it was a big deal for Ruth, because Ruth, like I said, she was travelling to a place that she didn't know, to meet and live with people she didn't know. But more than that, she wasn't from that people group, so she would have been classed as an outsider. And when Ruth gets there, she goes and gets a job. She goes picking wheat in a field to provide some food for Naomi. But it's a beautiful story, because through all of that, through Ruth's loyalty and her faithfulness to Naomi, her compassion, it's saying, look, I don't want to leave you on your own. God creates this beautiful, beautiful story for her, and she ends up meeting a man called Boaz. It's actually his field that she starts working in, and she meets him, and they end up getting together and getting married. And Ruth actually becomes one of the only women to be written into the genealogy of Jesus. Usually it was all the men that were named, but Ruth actually is named in there as well. And that's a pretty cool, I think anyway, bit of a nerd, I know, but I think that's a pretty cool thing. And Ruth's life, it kind of, when you read the story, you'll see, but it shows us quite a few characteristics that are great things for us to have, but also an example of what happens when we give our life over to the Lord and let him lead and guide us. So just a couple of the things that Ruth's story shows us is, firstly, the importance of being loyal and being a good friend. Ruth didn't have to stick with Naomi. Naomi had told her to leave and go home, but she chose not to. She chose to stay. And sometimes I wonder for us, when we find ourselves in situations, not exactly the same as Ruth, obviously, but when we find ourselves in situations where we could be loyal to someone, where we could be a good friend, are we? So if we're the only person sticking up for a friend who suddenly started being bullied because somebody in our groups decided that they don't like them, are we somebody who sticks with them? Are we somebody that stands up and says, I don't like it, this is not right? Or do we find ourselves joining in and gossiping and telling them the things that have been told to us in confidence? I don't know. How loyal are you? Would be my question on that. The second thing it shows us is the importance of compassion. Naomi had lost everything, and yet Ruth showed incredible compassion. She helped to look after her. She stuck with her. And so a second question would be, how compassionate are we? Do we laugh when something terrible happens to someone, or do we actually try and help in that situation? The third is Ruth shows the importance of being hardworking. She goes out to work to create food for Naomi and for Ruth, and it's an incredible thing. And one of my favourite parts in the little verse that I just read you is when Ruth says to Naomi, wherever you go, I will go, and wherever you live, I will live. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. And in doing that, and in adopting Naomi's God, deciding to follow him, what happens is that God turns that entire situation around for good. And that's really what he wants to do with us in our lives. There's a gorgeous verse in Romans 8:28, and it says, for we know that all things work together for good for those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose. Ruth is an amazing example of what happens when God can take charge, so to speak, of a life. God can be somebody who leads us and guides us, and it's a beautiful example of how he can turn a situation, turn lives around, and good things can happen. And sometimes we question why God hasn't helped us, but the reality is sometimes he's trying. But we've got such a tight grip on our lives and such a tight grip on the situation that he actually can't get in to help us out. And we just need to take our hands off. And God wants to look after us no matter how many times we do the wrong thing or how many times we make mistakes. He wants to go where we go. He wants to be with us wherever we are, and he wants to help us, and he wants to be the center and the most important thing in our lives, because he knows that when we allow him to be there, everything else falls into place for us. And that's where we find that we are the most content. It's where we find our purpose. It's where we find our lives turning around and good things happening. And sometimes we don't even realize with God that he is working things out for us, because we can't see it, obviously, and it's only in hindsight when we look back that we see that he had looked after us every step of the way. So I hope that's been an encouragement to you. This story is always such an encouragement for me. If you want to, I think if you could go read Ruth's story, it's an amazing thing. It's only 4 chapters, so it's not long. But it is, like I said, it's such a good example, of the fact that God can take any situation, any life, and he can turn it around. So yeah, hope you are all well, and hopefully we'll be able to see you again soon in person. But until then, have a great few weeks at school. Not too long until the Christmas holidays, and we'll see you soon online. Bye bye.
Thank you, Charlotte. That was great. I hope you guys took lots in. And if you've got any questions on what she was saying, then message us in whatever format you like. There are many options, which I'm not going to list because you know them better than I do. So yeah, thanks for joining us tonight, guys. Please continue to keep messaging us and get involved with the Instagram stories, stuff we're doing in the weeks. Yeah, so we love you guys. Hopefully at some point, like Charlotte said, in the new year, or who knows when in 2021, we'll be able to meet together in person and resume some kind of normality for Surge. You know, and who knows, you guys might have all left school by the time we get there, but if even so, we will still be here for you guys, online, on the phone, wherever it be. We are still here for you, so please do message us. Thank you guys, and we'll see you very soon.